His wife is still in the hospital.
Hey, leave that open. You should leave that open.
You can leave it open, Howard. You can leave it open.
Did you get air?
All right, make sure your cell phones are turned off or on vibrate or whatever. I'm glad I don't have Wow. So like I said, Ron Davis's wife is still in the hospital and he didn't know whether he was going to make it or not. So if we do have to vote on something, but we can only have no no's. We got to have all yeses.
First pass.
Okay. All right, we have legal counsel here, business manager here. We got Michelle and Kathy, superintendent. We got a stenographer. We got a representative from the city council of Binghamton and also from the village of Johnson City. And the city councilman brought along Michael, who is a gopher for him right now.
Who's a what?
A gopher.
Oh,
He's
Learning the ropes.
an intern.
Right, and Howard Reed also. All right, so approval of minutes, Ed, you might as well make sure that everybody, Howard, did you sign the sign-in sheet? No. How long have you been here?
Just a few minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the November 2nd, 2018 special meeting in the form that appears in the board folders with the changes shown.
Second.
Discussion, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 411.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the November 13th, 2018 regular meeting in the form that appears in the board folders with the changes shown.
Second. Discussion, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. 411.
And then I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the December 11, 2018 meeting in the form that they're in the board folder with the changes shown.
Second.
Discussion, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 I have a question.
Okay.
It says approval of minutes is 11:07, but mine says November 2nd.
That was the first one. Oh, okay. The agenda's wrong.
The agenda's wrong, sorry.
Mine says 11:07.
Yeah, but the meeting was on the 2nd.
Oh, I see, okay. Got it.
Just a little typo.
Okay. So all that was a correction. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 411.
It's a correction to the agenda.
With the correct data.
No big
Yes.
deal. The minutes are right.
I think it's all on tape there, you're right. Okay, do we have any privilege of the floor? Seeing none, we'll go on to Fiscal Officer's Report by Mr. Chuck Shager. It's in your folder.
I'll go through the reports that are in your folder. The first page is the cash report. We started off the year with $6.4 million in the bank account. During the month, we spent roughly $400,000, bringing it down to $6 million at the end of the month. Most of that was going out for the health insurance. So we had to make the big early in the year payment for the deductibles. You can see all the receivables we have on the books. We still have the old Town of Union for $6,362. And in the first quarter, the city made their payment at the end of the month. Everybody else is still out there owing. In the near future, probably in your March meeting, I'll bring a proposal to you. I'll send it all out to you before now and then. Right now, we have most of your money invested at Chemung Canal. I was approached by a firm called NY Class. It's like a mutual fund that invests strictly into treasuries. It's approved by New York State OSC. and the interest rate on that is like, right now it's 2.1%, okay? And you can put money in and withdraw it out on demand. So basically, we could take this $4.8 million, sit it in there, gain 2%, and not have to worry about it until the day we needed it, if we needed it at all.
What were you getting at? Were you
0.3%.
0.3, really?
Maybe it's up to 0.38, so it's a big difference.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Okay, so I just got it approved through city council, and I will,
You're tripling your money.
yes. Hopefully lower the rates.
I just note that I've had some information that Chuck provided that I've looked at, and it's, you know, it's all legitimate for public entities in New York to invest in, and, you know, we would have to have legislation go to both owners' legislative bodies to change our investment policy, because they're the ones that have approved that in the past.
I guess that's your first step, going to apply.
The board has to approve sending it to city council, that's what.
I'll send it off to everybody, so everybody can get a look and read some of the information, so you have it.
Chuck, now, the union still goes 6,000. For what reason is that?
That's that old, and what was it?
They never paid.
There's a late
fees.
penalty that they owed on,
On the water thing that the West
when they had a dispute about their billing, and, you know, we can't just write it off. It's not necessarily economical to go after that
This
right
was
now.
late fees.
But I mean, we can't, you know, if we're going to enforce that part of the rules and regulations against all the municipal users, we've got to address that at some point. We're not there yet.
Well, I'm just going to ask a question. Isn't it feasible? What was our penalty charge? 3% or something like that?
1.5% a month.
1.5% per month?
What's in the rules?
Wouldn't it be something to send notification monthly with the incurring interest charges that they're building up on it?
We don't send those out monthly, we send them out quarterly. We could do it in the next quarter if you.
I don't think you accumulate late fees and the late charges. If
Right.
they paid the principal.
Right, it's a fixed amount because they paid the principal.
Yeah, right, I
It's
understand.
not gonna grow, but they're aware of
That's
it.
what I'm talking about, the late amount. Okay.
Michelle, is that part of the invoice that we send out? When we send the current bill plus the old bills, is that included on there? So it's not there.
No, but it was there back when they paid the principal.
George, we'll add it to the next quarterly bills. We'll put it in there someplace.
Yeah, I
Well, it
mean,
was on there, on that quarterly bill, the next one that went out
with the increase showing on
with
it?
the late fees
Okay.
on it, and they still proceeded just to pay the principal, not the late. Remember that?
Oh, yes, and they said they were well aware that they were only authorized to pay the principal and not the
Yep.
late fees. So it
There
was
was
a case of
discussions.
deliberation that they did not intend to pay the late fee.
Yep.
So it's an 18% a year, am I correct?
But we're not charging additional late fees on the late fees they didn't pay. That number won't change
It's not
going
compounded.
forward. Yeah.
It's not like your credit card.
Yeah.
No, that's just normal business. Okay.
I mean, now that there's a different mayor in the town, right? Or supervisor.
Superintendent.
Supervisor.
Supervisor.
You know, maybe there might be
Batteries.
a reason to have a meeting and just, you know, discuss that with the new mayor.
Okay.
Still have the same comptroller.
Is she the one that wouldn't pay it?
Laura, yeah.
Laura,
Well,
not
she
Laura.
wasn't authorized to pay the additional.
She'll pay
That's the
whatever
way it
she's
was worded.
authorized to pay,
Yeah.
exactly.
So they told her not to pay that. Yeah, she was agreeable to it, but she was instructed not to pay that, but so.
I'll make a motion.
Actually went and talked to her.
Okay, the next one is the purchase orders by GL account. Most of these look like they're all cleaned up from the prior years. The only one that's really still out there that it's not worth discussing right now is the modular space one.
No, I mean, that one we have to have that accrual because there's a potential claim, that's all. If they ever come up with their remaining documentation to get paid, so we can't just extinguish it.
So then you go to your year-to-date report for 2019 January. As I told people beforehand, the heading's incorrect. On the left-hand side it says for 2019-01, but the heading dates it as 12/31/18. It's really for January. There's really not a whole lot of activity here. For the month, everything looks pretty good. Charlie, there is one thing on the health insurance. We're just gonna have to go back. I think we made a payment. You encumbered the money and we made a payment.
We did a
of
PO
claim.
and you did a wire, so we'll just cancel that PO.
I think that
I
takes care of
spotted
that.
that too.
So that's it for January. The one thing that I also noticed when doing this is I have a bunch of BUAs to do, budget amendments. When you did the budget, you put $130,000 to transfer to capital into the JF, okay? We hadn't done that until I started going through this today. So we moved the $130,000, the $39,000. I'm gonna see if I have to create new numbers or whatever, but they'll be done by the end of the week. So all that money will be in the capital account.
How long ago did you move it?
Now,
Yeah.
revenue numbers, not much coming in yet. Can expect that. Go back to the next one, which is the December report. There's a couple negatives out here that Charlie has some BUAs out for electricity, and can't remember what the other one was, Charlie.
Permits and fees.
Permits, fines and fees. Overall for the whole year, at this point, it looks like you're gonna be about $2 million under budget revenue, collecting $2 million more in revenue than we expensed out. This is a pretty
I'm
good.
sure you'll find out.
Goes back to the users. I mean, it's simple.
Yeah, it just,
The one thing that I'll propose under the finance committee, if nobody else beats me to it, is that we encumber over at least 100,000 of the legal fees for the litigation, rather than have it expire out of here.
there's 102,000 left on there.
Right, that's, I mean, I don't think we can encumber it all because there may still be bills for 2018.
Yeah. And Charlie and I also talked a little while ago, we got some money from FEMA that's gonna go back to 18. I think it was like $555,000. We're gonna accrue the revenue back to 18, and then we're gonna have to send the money to the village in Johnson City, what their portion is to pay FEMA. That'll go back to this number here. So that takes care of the revenue and expense accounts and the bank accounts, and Ed, if you want to talk about the HX spending.
Sure. In your folder, you have the lead agency's financial reports. You have the chart report, that's this one here, and the graph report. And there's not as much activity during the winter in terms of the billing, so the numbers aren't that much increased from the prior month. There was a $529,000 change order for PC Construction that was approved last month, so their contract is up a little bit. Other than that, within budget, it's not where the press reported it in the article that was in the paper the Sunday before last. So
Yeah.
the current.
Terrible article.
The current, well, you know, what did you expect? The current total of base contracts and approved change orders is $268.3 million. So, I mean, that could go up as there are more change orders that there might be, but I'm not aware of any big change orders that are in the mill. There may be, but they haven't come up for discussion yet that I'm aware of. Okay. If anybody has any questions, let me know, either now or at your leisure.
The last thing that I have is I'm working with ESC on taking two of our notes that we already have out there, the 04 project and the 05 project, which is a solids handling project, which is not totally complete yet, but bringing them long-term in the next, probably before the end of June, to get better interest rates and move all that stuff long-term. So that will only leave us with the what's called the 03, which was the first 16 million that we had. If Charlie remembers that very well, I'm sure. I think we're down to 4 million that we owe on that, which this 500,000 will go pay that part of that down. And then the remaining balance that we have out there, which is the 07. Well, it's 06, it's big. That's all I have.
Anybody got any questions for Chuck? I have one that doesn't pertain to this stuff. Pond Lake, I thought he was supposed to be here at all the meetings.
He's probably sitting at a DRB hearing if you want to know the truth today. That's probably where he's at.
He wrote it down. I was at a meeting with him.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Well, I just want to know because they have a problem with a hot water line, correct? Going through a firewall and that stuff, and they
Yeah, it's a boiler exhaust.
yeah, the boiler exhaust, and then on the outside it drips all the time. So those things are supposed to be rectified. So I guess you'll have to get a whole around lake and tell you.
Yeah, we will. It's part of an ongoing punch list items for this building.
How long ago was that on the punch list?
It's been on there a while. It moved from the
well,
exterior to the
that's the
interior.
problem. They're hoping that you forget about it and that stuff. So I just want to keep bringing it to their attention until it's done.
George, I got a meeting with Jerry tomorrow and his boss, so I'll bring it up.
Oh, yeah? All right. Nobody else got any question of Chuck? If not, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Howard, did you say it was a boiler or water heater?
Boiler
It's
exhaust.
the boiler exhaust, right? Okay, Charlie, I guess you're up.
All right. First is some informational items. The flow reporting, I did send out the forms to have the outlying users report, and we've already got 2 back in, which is good for this time of year, so I will be pursuing that. The flow credit bank statements, I think everybody got those in the email. There's been no change really. The only thing we had for activity was Town of Fenton did some change to the library, but it didn't affect any of the existing lines really, so. I believe though the board has to review those before I can send them out.
Hey, Charlie, can you send me Binghamton's last year's report? Penny left, and we got 2 new people over there trying
Okay,
to put
yeah,
it
I gotta
together.
go back through and.
You can send me the last one she did, and at least we have,
Okay.
try to find reports that she bounced them off of.
For items that do need board approval, the gas and heat, there was one additional bill that I thought had been processed. So that line is overdrawn, and I would ask for a transfer of $5,250 to cover that. There are several places where the money could be taken from. I don't know if
Give a
there's any-
line.
So
Yeah,
what line you taking from the J130, or is that the line that's,
below it there, the electricity line, 54202. So we did that for a little less.
Anyone want to do that? Sort of.
anybody want to move it?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we approve a budget transfer in the amount of $5,250 from budget line J8130.54202 electricity to gas heat J8130.54201. And that the appropriate request for legislation be sent to the owner legislative bodies.
Okay, I heard a second from Steve. Do we have any discussion on it? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried 411.
We are also overdrawn for 2018 for the permits and fines line, just over $1,400. That's line J8130-54802. I would request $1,450. Again, there's no better place really in that section, so electricity is available. I don't think it's worth dipping contingency.
Second, what was the last part of that?
Say I would recommend electricity again for that one.
No, but what did you say about contingency?
See, I don't think it's worth dipping into contingency for that, but
Well,
again,
because, I mean, is it gonna occur again next month too?
we are going to be paying fees. Yeah, there's the
Well, that's
$5,000 to the DEC every month.
Right.
There's also some other miscellaneous fees. It's the miscellaneous ones that got us this time.
But
For next year.
month should be a
It'll
2019
be
budget.
funny.
Yeah.
Budget here.
Oh, okay.
So it's, yeah.
So we're into new money then?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This
and-
one is a prior month thing.
And we're kind of waiting for the sword to drop on whether that's going to become steeper penalties. So I don't know if
Okay.
we've
We
heard
already
anything
know,
on
we
that.
have it in the folder.
Okay, all right, so we'll address that later.
Stay
in the
tuned.
meeting.
So I make a motion that the board approves a budget transfer in the amount of $1,450 from budget line J8130.54202 electricity to permits/fines J8130.54802, and that the appropriate request for legislation be sent to the owner's legislative body.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 411.
And for 2018, I think we did a tremendous job for staying under budget.
How about unemployment?
That's 2019.
Oh, okay, all right.
So we will get to that line next. We do have an employee now who has filed for unemployment. and-
Former employee.
That's true. Former employee. For 2019, we had enough in 2018 for the 2 weeks she did claim, but now we only put a placeholder amount of $100 in there in the budget, and that's going to be 2 weeks. We'll consume that. I'm not sure how long she may be unemployed.
How
That's one of
long
those-
ago- how
we're
long
gonna
ago
go crystal
was
ball.
it?
So she's done this in mid-December, I think it was.
No, she was employed.
She was employed last year and from April 2017.
It
Yeah.
was 20, not, yeah, it wasn't 2018.
2017 to June of
Okay.
2017.
So from today you got 3 years that you can
She
claim
can-
this.
Mhm.
But she can only get it for 26 weeks, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
The max is 26 weeks.
So you got a maximum liability of about $1,350.
That used to be. I just had a case where it didn't work that way.
Yeah,
Kept going.
they can extend it depending on the condition.
Yeah, they
I don't
got-
think we're in
They got
bad
all
economic
different
right now
type
for
of
employment
things.
though.
Yeah, right.
So
You
again.
never know with the government. what
Yeah,
the
that's-
government's gonna say.
It's like sales tax. When you get to go for the information on it, you get 3 or 4 different answers, and it is very
Yeah, so
confusing.
that's a crystal ball type of thing, is will she become reemployed between now? So I guess I am going to ask the board for $1,400, which would be the maximum we'd be on the hook for if she does not find suitable employment.
Okay.
For where to take that from,
Yeah, since you didn't have that much in your 2019 budget.
Yeah, you know, that might be a case.
That's a contingency.
That would be a contingency justification, I think, to take that out, because that's something, you know, we typically don't budget for that, not anticipating layoffs or anything. So that's what contingencies are for. So I would recommend 55000 is the one.
Okay, so I make a motion that the board approves a budget transfer of $1,400 from line J8130.55000 contingency to 2019 unemployment J9050.58000 capital E, and that the appropriate request for legislation be sent to the owner's legislative bodies.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried, 411.
Last week, we had a bid opening for Ferric Chloride supply, which will, our current contract is with Chimera that goes to the end of February. We had 2 responses. The lesser of them was PVS Technologies. We're currently paying $1.06 a gallon. The low bid was $1.54 a gallon. Chimera, who is our current supplier, went to $1.65. So apparently, number one, we're using less currently. We will be using more with the new process, so I would recommend at this time that we award the contract to PVS for 12 months to be revisited, because based on what I'm hearing from our engineering group, we'll be using twice as much as we are, so I think we can negotiate a more favorable price. Plus, we'll have triple the storage once we go online, and if anybody knows exactly
Maybe we'll
what
have
that
a
is.
nicer delivery route.
So
Yeah,
I think we'll get a favorable bid
no, you won't.
the next time.
Maybe you will have a nicer delivery
Yeah,
route.
next time. So I would recommend right now we award it for PVS for 12 months
I'll be
at
thinking of it.
$1.54 per gallon.
Can I ask a question for Howard? What do you think the schedule is for this tank, the new tank?
So
be online?
the 3 larger tanks are in the chemical storage building.
The Ferric tank?
I'm not sure when their plan is to hand that over to us. I'm not sure that all the yard piping associated with that is done. And it has to do with the afterflow system.
Right, absolutely.
Okay,
All right, so we don't know. Okay.
so can you turn around and give us an answer for the next meeting so that Ed does know and I do?
Well, it doesn't, if we're going to award the
It's a
contract,
guess.
because unless we have a special meeting before the end of the month, we're going to have to deal with this.
Well, yeah, we'll deal with it, but I'm just saying, when we
We
can
can
take it
also
over,
cancel
maybe we can do something, but I
The wording is that we
believe
can
it's more or
cancel the
less
notice,
roads
so if we have a change of
contingency
conditions.
getting in and out of there.
Yeah, no, but I'm asking that question in terms of should we go for 12 months or 18 months and then
Yeah.
cancel the
Yeah.
18 months?
The price was the same.
Right, I know that. But if we only award the 12 and we find out we're going to be going for 17 months or whatever.
Or can
It
we,
should be ready within the next 12 months, seeing that the CN cells 1 through 8 are going to go online, so we're going to be having a backwash to the
theory.
afterflow system.
In theory, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Point
we
well
signed a
taken.
consent order that says we're gonna be online by August,
Charlie, can
right?
we get turned around on that,
Last month.
put in a 6-month
Well, then that must be it
Or
then.
June, or, I can't even.
It was
No.
last June 30th was.
No, I mean, the new one,
Yeah.
this new
You
one.
we could make a memo of understanding, say, you know, would you extend this for an additional 4 months without changing the price? That's up to them, both
No,
of us would have to agree.
I
But
understand.
we can't change the agreement now the way it was bid out,
No, I understand that.
unless, as our mouthpiece knows about it.
All right.
So I'll make a motion that the board accepts the bid of PVS Technologies and awards the contract for a supply period beginning March 1st, 2019 for Ferric Chloride 38% solution at a unit price of $1.54 per gallon delivered for a 12-month supply period.
Second.
Steve, second. Discussion. Just to ask, does that, the increase of that price, does that hurt our budget?
Oh, well,
Well, don't.
yes. There's no question it's gonna hurt. We have enough, I think, to cover what we're gonna need.
Okay. right now, but then if we go online sooner than that, did we take in?
No.
I think we put this budget together with the assumption we would be online.
Yeah,
right,
there's-
the first of the year.
Oh,
We're not.
okay, all right.
But I don't know that we
didn't
inflated
know.
our,
So we expected to use more, but at a lower rate.
yeah, at a lower cost.
So,
Right. All right. Okay.
Canary wants to
bird calls. Very good.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried, 4-1-1.
We did receive 3 FEMA checks, which are in the 2019 period. So the budget allows us to accept those without needing adjustments to the budget or transfer requests, but the board does have to approve to accept the revenue. The checks were for $164,202.30, $234,044.01, and $157,239.51. That gives a total, and there's a slight change here in what you're seeing, it's $555,485.82 total, but Simmons is going to charge $11,160, so that amount to pass to the owners, it should say, instead of just city, $544,325.82. Of that, the city will receive $298,290.55, and the village $246,035.27. So I would need the board to accept.
Can you give me that corrected total again? You went through that much quicker than I could get your sheet out.
The total.
Wait, please.
Pause.
Okay,
The total of the 3 checks comes to $555,485.82.
Okay.
Deducting the $11,160 for Simmons leaves $544,325.82 to go to the owners, split based on the percentage.
Right, 298 what to the city?
It's 298,290.55.
I've got to the JC number,
Okay.
unless somebody else wants it.
That was just the difference.
What was it, 289?
298, 290.55.
And we may be able to get those
I
claims in
think
this week.
you talked about crediting these
The
payments.
WQIP meeting is tomorrow?
I think-
It's
well,
across the street, I think. Who's
Oh, it's across the
the-
street?
Yeah,
Okay.
Jacob somewhere.
It is today, it's across the street over at the Pearsall.
Yes, it is, but John
Well,
is
that's
having a
scary.
technical meeting.
That was Gus who called the meeting and he doesn't know where it is.
Well, we're in the lead agent, I don't know about
Well, this is supposedly a pre-construction put together.
Just as a point of order, you'd mentioned about receiving these checks as 2019 revenue, but I believe that from what our fiscal officer said, we should be receiving this money as 2018 revenue because it's based on claims that were submitted to FEMA prior to the year end of 2018.
I was gonna ask that question, Ed,
Beat it to it, sorry.
The fiscal officer can keep their revenue open.
because I know FEMA isn't up to
Well,
date.
it's open, Charlie, it's open to the end of February anyhow.
Okay, it's reference an invoice date of 1/17/19 on the state's check, but,
The
Well,
expenses are all stuff that we've incurred.
yeah. So if we've accrued it in 18,
No wonder
we
Chuck
can
said
recognize it in
that.
19.
Yeah.
So, it's fine.
the 19 invoice date is only on the last check. But, you know, what was said is that that's reimbursing for expenses that the owners expended in 2018.
Or earlier.
Well, no, it's not. It's things I sent to Howard in December, was probably bills in November for October work. So I would make a motion that the board accepts the 3 FEMA payments totaling $55,485
No, 555,000, not 55,000.
Okay, 555,485.82. All of that is referable to the flood wall except for $25,882.38, which is referable to the compost facility. And that this money be credited as revenue to 2018, and that from these funds, invoice to Simmons Consulting, or invoices, whichever the case may be, in the amount of $11,160 even be paid from the 2018 budget, or actually it's from the JF fund anyhow, so it doesn't. And that the remaining $544,325.82 be remitted to the owners, $298,290.55 to the city of Binghamton, and $246,035.27 to the village of Johnson City. And that,
Second.
From the 2018.
as 2018, as a 2018 activity.
Right, that's for our records, Chuck. It doesn't hurt your records at all because
He has a
you,
vote.
And that the appropriate request for legislation be submitted to the owner's legislative bodies
okay.
for the budget modification.
Okay, Steve second that. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried 411.
Is there a need for a budget modification in that?
No.
I thought we were already over on 2018 but if not.
No, I don't
no,
think so.
we're
I
not.
think we can get that in. Woo-hoo. Okay. At the discretion of the fiscal officer.
We actually got a lot left. At 17, we were way over.
So, coming up on the 6th of March, I'm not sure why you had date, we have a CEPT Polymer agreement ending, and I would like permission to advertise. That's Ben Polydyne, but we have Atlantic Polymers, I think, has expressed interest to come and do some jar tests, but I haven't heard from Craig, so.
So moved.
My question on this is that, what is the future for
You
this?
got a second at first before the thing. I put the motion in.
Well, I understand you put the motion out, but before, as a point of order, before we even get that far, what is the future for CEPT Polymer under the new system?
It's going to be different.
That's what I thought. So this may or may not be a long-term contract.
I mean, to do jar testing and things, it's going to be.
I'm sure Polydyne would be agreeable to extending the current. You know, I haven't approached them yet. They are, for the most part, always agreeable to doing that, so I can do that for an additional, however long we think we're gonna need, CEPT Polymer.
Probably 4 to 6 months.
Yeah,
maybe
see,
sooner.
it doesn't, you know, it doesn't seem like it's economical to rebid if, you know, we
Yeah,
do
the jar
have,
testing is huge.
if we do have
That's true,
a
yeah.
supplier that's willing to extend. If they're not, then you got to. I mean, and I don't have a problem making a motion that,
Yeah, they haven't changed the price on that
you would
polymer since I've been
advertise.
here, so.
You know, I wouldn't have a problem making a motion that we advertise, or seconding George's motion. Because, you know, that would be okay, but if, it would only be if Polydyne declines to extend.
Well, roughly, how much money are you talking about monthly with it?
It's like $2,200 3 times a year, so $500 a month. It's, yeah,
that's
it's-
good advertising.
that's not the big one, yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
Okay.
I mean, if you were talking about 20,000 a month, that's a different story. If you're talking about $3,000 a quarter.
You just go through a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, do we need a motion, or should we go back and?
I don't think so. I gotta-
Come back with an answer about whether they'll extend it.
Yeah, I will alert the board as to their decision, but I'm fairly certain they'll extend it at current pricing.
Very good.
Then we don't need a
Do we don't
motion
need-
other
Yeah.
than to accept their offer, which can be done at the next one.
Next meeting. The upcoming and informational, the 2019 rate chart and fees. I've begun compiling the charting data from and starting to put that together. So hopefully by next month, we'll have that ready for the board to look at. And we still have the insurance. Hail or Fire and Coombe is charging ahead with what we had, but for them to go out for proposals from everybody, we still have to come up with a methodology, and I just wanted to make sure that was still on the board, so we knew that that had yet to be done. There's also some question, everybody has added some good points, that's brought up some, when we actually have beneficial use of some of these structures. I'm not hearing.
I asked that question in a construction meeting, and they had said that any building that is existing, such as the the scrubber building or the head house or blower building, that should be insured, because they don't have that under.
For how much? How much have they put into these buildings?
Well, are they working in there?
They are.
Absolutely, they're working in there.
Right.
Yeah,
So
our
that's-
liability is an umbrella policy, so we don't have to worry, well,
What's
we
the
always
benef-
have to worry,
What's the
but
beneficial use? I mean, are you operating out of there?
We, in the blower building, no. In the secondary influent pump station building, no. In the, what used to be the chlorine building, no. But they're telling us that we should still be maintaining insurance in there, because all they're doing is replacing equipment or something. So they don't have builder's risk on those, I don't think.
Oh, I can't believe that.
Well, I can't either, but someone with greater, Jacob,
just somewhere
Jerry.
we would find there wasn't insurance.
maybe that's an issue you can ask about. So that's kind of confusing as to where the liabilities fall on that.
Right, I mean,
We haven't accepted those buildings.
But they said that since they were existing buildings and all they're doing is modifying the buildings, we should have it under our insurance policy.
Well,
Where'd you go?
He froze.
Come back, Steve.
I'm here.
That bird
We can't see you.
landed on his own.
You think that's what they're...
Oh my God, an invisible,
So,
he's there.
Yeah.
He's just blurry.
yeah.
So, have they offered the buildings?
no, just,
724.
no.
238.
I just said that there was a question about insurance and some concerns about beneficial use and occupancy, and that's when I was informed that we should have all the insurance that we normally would have on those buildings, because they didn't build them, they're just in there modifying something.
We have insurance on the buildings that weren't actually demolished, like
So-
the cells and all.
Just-
How
We're
about
not
the
insuring it all.
secondary-
We have the shells, the foundation, but then it
And the
kind
blower
of...
building,
Right.
okay, all
Like
right.
the blower house, yeah, we got $3 million in the
Okay.
structure itself. So we are covered for anything they didn't notify us that had
Right.
been totally raised. But we're up to date on the list of things that have been totally raised. That I'm not even sure of myself, so. I don't think we have horrible exposure, but I don't know, so.
Okay. I
But we
just-
don't have
And I'd like to
insurance
know.
on it's the equipment that's in those buildings.
Right,
Yeah,
And
right.
that's what you're saying,
We
Kid.
wouldn't be found to be underinsured if there was a loss.
You
well,
wouldn't-
sure, if the pumps all froze,
That's what they're covering.
Well, we just, maybe you could just clarify that.
yeah.
You need the building.
This time of year especially, because I guess there was a situation we had concern. They installed valves,
Something.
some things that filled with water and
And
froze.
froze. Yeah,
So we don't want them if they're broken, and
Right.
we're not currently insuring them, so. But, the more they pay in, the more risk of something like that there is. So I just, bringing it to the board's attention. to
Yeah,
keep
I
it
was
on this
gonna,
area.
I was gonna also carry this discussion on during the Finance Committee report as well. But I think it would be prudent for the board to have a letter go to both mayors regarding turnover. because we need to have a copy of the certificate of occupancy, because we haven't, you know, we've run into problems with the insurance before, that they're saying, we're not gonna insure it until you can show us that this has got a certificate of occupancy. And then for
elevation
FEMA, we need an elevation certificate for the flood insurance. And it's gotta be, you know, the final certificate of elevation, not, you know, an interim during
Yeah, you
construction.
can't say construction.
And then we also need, you know, either they give us values for the value of what they're turning over to us, or they give us enough lead time that we can get it appraised so that we have a good value for the insurance.
Right.
Otherwise, you know, we're trying to nail Jello to the wall, as the saying goes, you know, that, you know, we wouldn't have an ability to prove that we have the insurable interest if there's no certificate of occupancy. We wouldn't be rated for flood insurance. They wouldn't even issue it without an elevation certificate. And we wouldn't have any idea of the values from a professional who's in the business of appraising. You know, not some engineer's estimate, because they're not appraisers, you know, in the insurance world, but an actual appraiser, like an MAI certified appraiser.
Right.
Chuck, that might be, if you're going to be talking to them or meeting with them tomorrow, another topic might be just the turnover, because there's still questions about when one contract is completed in a building. For example, when PC's contract is turned over, or when PC's contract is completed, but the electrical or the plumbing isn't, there's still conflict about when that whose building it is and who's responsible for what parts, and are we responsible for any, or is PC responsible? It's not very clear cut.
No, you're gonna make it count, but the main reason you're doing this, because that there starts the clock the day you accept it, and you got a year from there unless
I'm not accepting
an
anything.
extended guarantee on something else.
Yeah, I don't know about that. The clocks have started on a lot of things.
No, they can't start. They can't, without us accepting it, they can't start.
Well, without the owners accepting
That's
it,
what
it's
I'm
not
all,
necessarily.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, I know.
It should be clearly indicated.
Because there may be things that have been accepted because the owners have delegated to the construction manager the authority to accept things.
Really?
You know, that we have no idea.
Not aware of any, George.
Well, of course you're not aware of any, but show me some paperwork on anything that's been turned over, you know. And
Well, I can probably vouch for you that Johnson City didn't. but-
I mean, I know very well that with the contract for the motor control center, that Jacobs signed off on that.
Yeah, it's not a real, I was really hoping for a more tidy, clear-cut, this is yours. Here's your warranties, here are all the manuals for your equipment. This is when it starts. This is when the warranty starts. That it's not.
And there would be an inventory where you
Well,
get.
And then
how
inventory,
can
yeah.
Jacob sign off on something that
Yeah,
the owners didn't?
Is the
approve
fire
of?
suppression system in place?
Can
No
you
idea.
check on that,
Yep.
just to make sure? Because if they didn't, it's gonna go back in Jacob's lap. We shouldn't be responsible for something if we didn't, you know.
Accept it.
And get all the documentation that we're supposed to get.
Right.
You know, inventory, serial numbers. You know.
Kathy, what was that for?
Have we gotten any serial numbers?
No. Yeah,
We're just really trying hard to have only Howard or myself, and then when I'm not here, just Howard, be the only people that accept anything from turnovers, and even that's
oh,
a challenge. So,
Kathy, what did you say what area did they sign off on?
I think Ed was saying, this
The
was
motor
last year,
control
the motor
center.
control center. I mean, since, I don't know when probably have it now in my documentation, but apparently it had been turned over to us, but we weren't aware it had been turned over to us.
How long ago was that?
This was last year.
Oh, so the
This
warranty's
isn't
off
recent.
of everything?
This
right?
isn't recent,
This doesn't make sense.
so.
Apparently Jacobs owns this plant.
No.
They're calling the shots.
Is that,
Regarding the flow credit bank report that Charlie sent us, I'd make a motion that the board accepts the December 2018 flow credit bank statement allocations totaling 2,432,865 credits, and that we authorize and direct that the annual statements be issued to the users based on the credits that are reflected on the table.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, carried, 411.
That's it for me.
Are we through with you now?
Yeah,
Good,
really.
very good. So what is this, the end of the meeting?
What?
that was just the
No,
business meeting.
I know. At first I said, well, wait a second, something's wrong here. Okay, so we're all through with China, we got all that stuff, need board approval, got that, gas, except FEMA transfer pending. Rate fee still, superintendent's report.
Okay, you should have all received at least an email copy of the revised consent order that was, okay, and it's also in the package of the consent order with the DEC. That was received February 11th, and in reviewing it, we have it does say on page 6 that we are being assessed, I believe we were all aware of it, but we're being assessed an additional $5,000 per month penalty payable on or before January 15th, 2019. So we have January's due and we'll have February's due.
Okay,
And then in addition, we
I
have,
think we probably already paid 5,000.
no, additional.
Yeah.
So,
We'll have to
Right,
make
it's
a-
$10,000
So
a
it's
month in
10,000 a month
2019.
now.
That was the
and
deal.
then, under A, we have within 30 days of the effective date of this order, a $10,000 penalty. So that's got to go out pretty pronto. And then on page 8, this is the one that's a bit more concerning. Under A, it says within 30 days after the effective date of this order, we have to submit a plan for the environmental benefit plan.
Project, yeah.
Project. And I don't know that we've tossed around a couple ideas with the WQIP, but nothing formal. I mean, just in
Right, I
conversation.
mean, we had the suggestion, which I had advanced, about continuing to do some armoring and stream bank improvement on Fuller Hollow Creek to the
Yes.
south of the limits of the WQIP, because you can't use the same limits that we contracted with JB's excavation for this. We have to kind of do a change order and extend the work.
Yeah.
We can only go to the bridge?
I don't know
Well, I
about
think
that.
that'll take up all our money.
Yeah, we're talking about 50 strands,
Yeah, I'm just
Correct,
pointing this
yeah.
out because there's another additional 30-day under B within 30 days after complete, well, that's after the environmental benefit project. Never mind, I need to
You
worry
better
about
come up
that.
with a plan then, Ken.
Pardon me?
I said then you better come up with a plan.
I just want to point this out so that people are aware that we need to start jumping on what needs to be done.
Last I knew about it, that would eat it up, armoring the bank all the way up to the bridge, or the, I won't call it, well, it is a bridge. On Fuller Hollow Creek. At least that's the estimate that I got, that it would, that would eat it right up.
So I just wanted to make sure we had money in the budget for the fines that we needed to pay now, right now. And then, also, do you want me to reach out to GHD about that, adding the creek bank, or soliciting ideas, or how are we gonna do that within 30 days?
We should,
I
we should just,
has that, because he's the one that gave me the price and said it would be paid up, so he has got a plan for it.
Okay, so, but don't we have to formally do something? Like ask them formally?
We'll ask GHD to send it to him, yeah, the plan.
Aren't they gonna charge us more money for that?
We should be writing.
I mean, GHD is not the contractor. We've got to get something with JB's excavation, because they're doing the work.
But this says design.
So I just want
Yeah.
someone together.
Within 30 days, we need a description and plan. I mean, do you want to ask JB Excavating, or do you want to ask GHD?
No. You gotta go through GHD.
We have to go through GHD for the implementation plan.
Right.
But the actual benefit project, that's the $50,000. There's no limit on the engineering part of that. That doesn't necessarily count against the 50, because the 50 is for the implementation, not the design.
Who will we ask to write this? That's, I guess, what I'm asking. We don't need to start it, but we need someone to write a description of the plan.
They've already, I mean, GHD's already done the spec for the lower part of Fuller Hollow Creek, and so it would be the same thing just south.
Just extended farther.
Okay.
And they may not even get to the culvert or the creek on
Okay.
Vestal Road.
All right, so we'll ask them to do that. All right.
But we don't want the cost of it to be more than 50,000, so they should
Gotta be at
coordinate.
least 50.
Right. We don't
So you
want
want
it
it
to,
to
yeah, we don't want it to be much over 50, but you're right, it's gotta be at least 50.
Well, we sort of thought that was taken care of by the owners, but that wasn't.
Okay. I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention.
Oh, exactly.
Okay.
They're supposed to be.
For January, our average flow was 20.17 million gallons per day, and I'll note that last year's total precipitation was the most precipitation that we have recorded here since Craig or I have worked here. We had the most precipitation last year.
Yeah.
You were talking about at the plant.
At the plant.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Our CBOD average removal was just about 47%, and our total suspended solids average removal was 70%. Suttable solids was 89.49%. Under operations summary, construction and related issues, I had mentioned the last couple of months that the gate had been installed for the flood wall. It was planned to be testing that gate this week, but due to high flows, we're delaying that. I hope that last week would have been good, but when it was really cold. But I hope we get another good week like that. A significant amount of training continues to take place. Of note, I do want to mention that our head electrician had several years ago taken a train-the-trainer course, and so he is able to put together the information required to break these training classes down into training modules and send it to the DEC for approval for operator recertification credit hours. So he's been doing that, and that is very time consuming, but it's worth it to the plant and to the operators that work here, because then they don't have to travel off-site to get their.
Right, and it saves us on external costs. And
Yep.
all that good stuff, and we should remember that when we think about the quarterly stipend situation. We should
Yes.
remember that work effort,
Yep.
in my opinion.
That's why I'm mentioning it.
Why, is it being done off time, or are you just talking about the person that's given the class for the?
No, I'm talking about the work to get the training
Additional
modules
work.
approved for credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a combination of on and off work.
Yeah, it's for the one person.
It's additional responsibility.
Okay, no, I go along with that.
Okay. There's a lot of talk about the digester work, and they're anticipating that the covers are going to be installed within the next week or two.
They're planning on starting next Monday.
Yeah.
On what, 3 first, or one?
All 3 covers are coming, they're gonna do their
At this-
surface prep.
I asked which one first, do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
They anticipate all 3 will be installed pretty quickly, like in a week or 2.
And then after the covers are on, the hardware gets put in?
What's not put in already, they're still.
Oh, they have already started putting in, you know,
Changes are
protection?
in,
Yep.
Yeah.
a lot of piping's in.
The problem with that is that in order to determine whether or not all the equipment works, we need to send sludge to the digesters. To send sludge to the digesters, we need the headworks completed and grit system completed, and yard piping completed, which is PC's contract. They anticipate, hopefully, that the grit system will be installed by the end of March. So we'll have some sludge, but the other part of that is the BAFs won't be online, and the volume of the digesters capacity is for having all of our BAFs online, which they create more sludge. So we're not going to have enough sludge to test everything in all 3 digesters. So they're trying to determine how that's going to shake out. And which one we're going to put in place. So that's another hurdle to jump over.
Why is that our problem? What's their problem to figure it out?
Whose problem?
Whoever's ahead of it.
I don't even know who that is anymore.
Well, I know, I understand.
Mr. Jacob.
Mr. Jacob, yes.
Well, Jacob's the PNC, right? I mean,
Well, the problem is when they put the covers on, you have the outer cover that is held up by the blowers,
by the
and then you
blowers,
have
the others
it.
by the gases.
You have an inner membrane that, when you have sludge in it, will be held up by methane. But if you don't have sludge in there, they're only allowed to kind of hang, and they're going to hang, and there's straps that they're going to kind of be hanging on. They're going to be dipping down on the straps, and that can cause damage to that inner membrane.
Right.
So if we don't have, if they put the covers on, and we don't have enough gas to fill all 3 digesters, we have the potential to damage the covers that are like, what, $500,000?
Flood it with nitrogen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know that it's not our problem theoretically. However, when we take it over and they're damaged.
Can I ask a question? Isn't it possible?
We don't take it over until it's,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
sludge.
completely done, right. But
Could already be damaged.
why
Well, that needs to be-
can't we do digester 3 first by itself and find out how it works? Have you got enough of sludge for half
I
of it?
asked GHD to do the calculation
Okay.
because I don't want to make that call. I want our engineers that did the design.
Or do we have to order pigment or put it in there?
I'm not taking that. I just want you to be aware of the potential pitfalls.
Yikes.
Good news, we had the water quality improvement contract kickoff was held January 24th, and that went real well. They're having another meeting right now, a technical meeting reviewing just some of the
Pre-construction scheduling or something like that.
Yeah. The monthly DEC meeting was held yesterday, February 11th. An update on the progress was given, and deadlines for meeting permit requirements were discussed. They specifically asked about the repair of the imperfections to this CN cell 2 wall, and asked about the concrete utility corridor, because those were two big issues that were mentioned last month. And Jacobs said that they do not believe either of those will be an issue, and that they do believe that we're on track to have media being installed the week of March 25th. The stormwater protection notice of violation was also discussed. You have a copy of the DEC's response to that as well in your folder. And a tentative meeting is being scheduled for Tuesday, March 5th at 9:30 a.m., which is just before the next monthly meeting with the DEC. That's scheduled at 10:30, so they're going to discuss this notice of violation and the remediation at 9:30. If you saw their response, the DEC's response, I don't think they were real happy with our response, so. That is my
That's your report.
Yes.
Anybody got any questions of Kathy?
Jeff, I got a question. I know we don't do it right now, but basically the driving force for the cost of the plant is really how much flow comes into here, okay? What the CBOD amount is and what the suspended solids are. Aren't they the three biggest driving?
And nitrogen, and total nitrogen.
Okay.
And that's something that we had discussed in our billing. We only focus on TSS and CBOD because that was what was the driving force back in the 80s and 90s. But with our new permit requirements, nitrogen is also, I mean, it's right up there with them. And we've actually discussed, yes, Ed?
Right.
Adding that as one of the factors in our billing.
We have to go through the owners to get the IMA updated, and we're gonna have to have the engineering technical data to support that before they're gonna consider it.
The question that I was asking, is there a way to figure out what the cost is? What it costs us to process X amount of CBODs or suspended solids? And I'm not saying, I know we can't do it today, but when we get this whole new plant up and running, is there a way that?
Yeah, there is.
We kind of do that.
In theory, we kind of,
You're
yeah,
trying
we
to
do
do it
kind of
now?
do it. We do it with Frito-Lay
Yeah,
right
we
now.
come up with a standard cost. That's kind of,
Yeah.
So if we come up with a standard, then can we vary on that standard somehow, not, so we could track
I
against
think
that standard?
Yes.
it's based on
Yes.
historical mix. So whatever, 25 million gallons, but to say for 1 million gallons would cost this, you could come up with something ballpark. So,
Okay. I was just thinking about that the other night, just wondering.
No, it's a really good idea, I think, to track that. That's how a lot of, actually, I think a lot of municipalities or different treatment plants track their performance. It's just tracking the performance.
it kind of assumes everybody has the same mix too that's sending it here. What you would do with that.
That's all I had, George.
Okay. Well, I've got one question since we're on the digesters. And 3 weeks ago, I believe when I was checking the billings out, I see for cleaning out the pipes, cleaning, I I believe it was 70-some thousand dollars that we paid, and I wanted to know where certified payroll was, and I was told that the person did the job by himself, the owner, which is impossible. And I believe, huh?
You're talking about the plan for drain?
Yeah,
Right.
well, I
Yeah, it wasn't
there.
70, it
34
was,
or something?
we
34.
paid 34.5, and then they went over that, and you know that, and the city paid.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know
Well, you
that.
I
guys
didn't
paid
know
it.
that either.
We did?
Yep, because I said, you cannot go over 34.5, because that is all I am authorized
Yeah, that's what the
to
PO said.
We didn't pay it.
pay, and it was more than that, and they, Jerry, I don't know, somehow Ron and Jerry paid it? I
We
don't
haven't really
know.
paid it, I can tell you that.
Yeah, there's no way. And would it take 3 weeks? If my memory serves me correctly, I thought it was 3 weeks. That's a hell
It
of a
was 3 or 4 weeks.
All right, that's.
You got a copy of the claim?
Well, it wasn't when the finance committee reviewed it.
This came in after when they were getting the documentation.
I don't remember.
So how many workers were there?
What?
Just the owner himself. I mean, I'm gonna do what I did a long time ago. I think my ears are grown because you're giving me information. I'm not looking to cause trouble. I'm looking just to protect here that we've gotta have it, because if somebody got injured, that one of his workers got injured.
I don't think I really don't think he had any workers.
Okay.
Submit
We
the
had-
paperwork that allows them to not pay the rate, and that's all you need.
I mean, who did the, there was, under the, Danforth they took the pipe apart. And supported the pipe.
Were they in
Danforth did.
a confined space area?
No.
No? Okay. They asked Kaplan?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Don't want to-
No, I'm looking for protection here, that nobody's.
No, I understand.
I mean, when somebody turns around and tells me on something that I've lived with for 50-some years, that he did it by himself. And how much was the total bill? For some reason,
34.5.
30, and then what was the extra?
I don't know, because they gave it to me and I said, I'm not paying it. Figure out another way to get it.
extra, so.
So maybe he didn't get it.
All right, so 34.5 for 3 weeks.
That's
That's
another
pretty
thing.
good. I'd love to be
Jimmy
in there,
doesn't
in that
understand
business
the laws
too.
about that stuff.
Okay, whatever. The only reason I'm saying is because if there is a man that turns around and leaves and brings charges that he worked here and he didn't get paid wage per day, and that's all I'm looking for, is that protection for us and the owner.
I think you got it all. So, right?
Okay. Well, how come I don't see it? I see a bill with no paperwork attached to it or anything, or even a copy of it.
There was.
Now you tell me we got it.
I haven't seen it either, George. I mean, I saw this letter, I sent it to Al, he said, no, it's not good enough. He wants a statement under oath to notarize, not just a signature notarized. He wants a statement that certifies the...
Corporation.
His name and...
No, that's a whole different,
Well, it was all part of the same email.
This is a DBA certificate. You know, that just establishes that there's some partnership between a husband and wife,
Yeah.
presumably. But if it's a partnership, then it's not a proprietorship. You know, so I mean, this is not resolved, you know, and George was absolutely right to bring it up. We haven't, you know, we held this off the list, it has to come back on the list.
If you're an officer of the company and you do work, you do not have to get paid to rate.
Oh, don't say that, you gotta own 5% of it. That's the first thing when it comes to that, you gotta be 5%, you gotta be on the paper. An officer doesn't mean that you own anything of it, okay? But it's...
Well, nothing says this guy's an officer anyhow.
No, I agree. You need certification that he is the owner or owns 5% of it and that stuff. Well, I agree with it.
But I think we should have Al follow up on this and have him be the point of contact. And when he says the information is satisfactory, then it comes back to the plant, so it goes on the board list again, and then we can review it and send it down for payment. Because I don't think we got what we asked for, that Al said he wanted.
So that's all, I mean, just to take anything off from us so that it stays someplace else. That's all I want.
This letter signed by this David Canterwood says, I'm the sole proprietor. Attached to it is a partnership. Well, he's not a sole proprietor.
If you give me a partnership, that's absolutely correct.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he considers himself the sole owner.
Well, it's got to be clarified.
Yeah. Is he his
To
wife?
your satisfaction?
He puts his wife's name on the PDA.
No, he's not. When you get out the stuff, you got it.
I mean, I certainly understand what Ray's saying, but Al hasn't had enough information where he can say that he recommends that we pay this based on his requirements being satisfied.
It has not been paid.
I think it has been paid.
But we held it off. How did it get back on the board list? We held it off for information.
I don't see a list of what's held. It may be sitting in Gina's index, I don't know.
Because we, you know, when we hold it off the list, then it has to, after the additional information is provided or whatever it's held for, it has to go back on the list, and then we see it again in a spot check. It never came back.
Ron didn't sign it, did he?
No.
No, I'm the one that, I pulled it and I brought it to our engineer and that stuff, and we pulled it. I says,
I do know there was emails going back and forth.